systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everyone? This is Sheets, and welcome to the recap of week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of the Survivor Pool experience. As you know, we're going to be going over really quickly how we did this past week, lessons we learned, lessons we taught, and that's pretty much all we're going to get to today. The big news is tomorrow when we do the premium show, where we're going to be going over week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Congratulations for everybody that have been following my advice and are still thriving in this contest. Now, I talk about Survivor Pool as kind of a lesson in preparation. And doing this video in and of itself has required incredible preparation. I knew when we set this up, this whole process up back before week 1, that this week was going to be kind of challenging for me to deliver content. And if you knew what I went through to get this set up, you would be very, very impressed. We're in way different time zones. We have all kinds of different scheduling issues, but I did figure out how to handle this. So we are going to do the recap show now, and we are probably going to do the premium show a little bit later today, which is actually yesterday or 3 days from now, depending on whether you're under Mars time, Jupiter time, or Ship and Nation time, whatever. In any case, as you know, this background is not exactly where I am. If you saw the background that I'm actually looking at, you'd be very, very impressed. And let's just get into what happened this past week. First thing that we did this past week is we introduced kind of a new feature where we actually followed along with a couple of entries from the Ship and Nation community, where I gave a little bit of directed advice on where I thought they should go in their entries. And it's in part to help them, but more important, it's to teach you guys how to set up your own entries and how to map and things like that. And I thought using actual contest entries was going to be very valuable. And we also went over my high stakes entries, and we went over a very difficult decision I had to make going into last week. And we'll go over right now how we ended up doing with it. So right now, again, you're just looking at the updated tool for this coming week. And unfortunately, I can't do flashback to go back to last week. So we're just going to basically talk through this. Last week, as you all know, New England was, clearly the top, survivor type team. And we knew that they were going to, most likely advance. But their EV was not actually quite as good as some of these other teams. Like we thought Green Bay was clearly the best play. And I really recommend that anybody that had Green Bay just unload all the Green Bay that they could. Partially because they were better EV, and also because New England is going to have some pretty sneaky future value coming up in week 13 and week 17. So if you could get away with holding New England, I thought it was a good idea. And then the second thing that we noted was that I thought Houston was actually the next best play in both singles and doubles, even above New England. Not because they were more likely to win, and not even because their EV was higher. I thought their EV was very similar, but once again, I thought that New England's future value is very, very strong. And if you can get away with holding them, I thought it was a really good idea. And then if you couldn't play any of those teams, I really recommended no Baltimore or anybody else except to go down to Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh was the kind of gamblish play that if you got away with it, again, you could save New England and save other teams. And I thought that was very, very sharp. Then what happened is after the New England game happened, there was some line movement that crashed in the Houston game where Houston actually became almost the same favorite as Pittsburgh, which basically moved Pittsburgh right up alongside of Houston. So at the end of the day, it was Green Bay #1, then Houston, Pittsburgh #2, then New England. So while I did think New England was fine, I really made them 4th. And not because they were less likely to win, obviously, but I thought that saving them if you can get away with it, was really, really strong. And what happened this past week was very deceptive. On the one hand, everybody won, so you'd think, okay, nobody really made any headway. But if you really took my advice, our advice, whatever, and you did play Green Bay or Houston or Pittsburgh and save New England, if you could possibly do it, you're really benefiting with, a lot of Sklansky bucks. You're really getting a lot of possibilities for maybe week 13, week 17, which it's very difficult to see now, but it does really, really strengthen your entries. So everybody did advance, but all advancers were not created equal. And I think it's very, very important to distinguish. Um, Really, nobody else had issues. Dallas was another kind of speculative play. I actually recommended that Hoop play Dallas in one of his entries as kind of a speculative second team in doubles. We're going to go over tomorrow what he actually did. I'd rather just save that for the premium members to go through the actual entries. And then again, what we talked about with my high stakes pool was a very similar decision I had to make. So I could have taken New England out last week, but I could have gotten rid of New England and then played Pittsburgh. And the idea was that I really thought that everybody that had New England available from my pool was going to take them. So if I could get away with sneaking somebody by and saving New England and really having the only New England left, I really thought it was worth taking the lower EV shot because my entry in that is really not particularly strong. So what I had to do was actually create some leverage where otherwise it didn't exist. So as you guys know, Pittsburgh did win in very, almost a miraculous fashion because Aaron Rodgers got ruled out at halftime, and I did not expect that to obviously be in the cards, but that's, part of, hashtag variance. So again, anybody that saved New England that could really, really took a step ahead of everybody else. As a matter of fact, what we can do real quick is let's share that screen, that splash window. Wait, a second. I think this is working. Yep. So this was Adam Warham. We went over one of both of his entries, and we did recommend him take New England and Pittsburgh again. Fortunately, he didn't have Houston available or Green Bay, so he wasn't put in that kind of difficult decision of what he had to do. He was kind of forced. I mean, he had to take New England, and then it was just between Pittsburgh and some other stuff like Atlanta or something. So his decisions was kind of forced, and good on him. He was able to advance. The other one that we looked at was Hoops, and he had two of them. We'll take a look at this. Yeah, so I did recommend that he hold New England if he could. He did play two Green Bays, which is excellent. But I did mention that New England was at least a safer play, and we talked about his entry. We'll talk about this more tomorrow, but he has a pretty nice hammer coming up this week with Detroit and Baltimore. We'll talk about that. And I guess you could argue that because Houston's line value crashed a little bit, that you could have opted for a little more safety. And he'll actually, we'll talk about this, but having saved Houston might end up being very, very valuable for him once we get to week 16. And the thing is that because everybody advanced last week, I think it becomes pretty likely that we get to week 16. So it turns out that I think that Hoop did very, very nicely this past week as well. So Title advanced in the high stakes buy-in as well. He took New England. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But overall, I think we did a very, very nice job with the analysis last week, and the results, although no one really got knocked out, it was one of those really subtle weeks where you were able to pick up, some value in your entries if you followed along. That's pretty much all I wanted to go over. And again, this is the the tool for this coming week is already updated. So if you are a premium member, you have access to that, and you'll be able to customize your EV for each of your contests, which you'll see becomes extraordinarily important. We demonstrated that this past week in the high stakes stuff. And once you get down to a smaller amount of entries, it becomes very necessary for you to mess around with the EVs yourself. So that's pretty much all I have. Again, probably later tonight, my time, maybe tomorrow, your time, who knows. We will take care of the Wednesday premium show, and that is going to do it. Good luck, everybody.